their own axes at a fantastic speed. Almost 30 times. They complete the revolution 30 times every second. And they radiate radio waves. They send out radio waves. And these radio waves knock our sky, knock the atmosphere of the earth in exactly the same way somebody knocks at the door to be opened for him. And that's why the Quran calls it At-Tariq. And it's amazing, really, for a book revealed more than 14 centuries ago to speak about a knocking star. And only in the late 70s of the 20th century, scientists come to discover that we physically have knocking stars. And these stars, by the radio waves, they knock the atmosphere of the earth. And I have recorded this knocking. And you cannot really have a word to describe it better than At-Tariq.
Professor, the term knocking star was given to this star by who? By the scholars?
No, they call them pulsars, from the pulse of the heart. Scientists call it pulsar. And some of them call it a knocking star. And the term pulsar was not known until the late 1970s. So for a book revealed more than 14 centuries ago, to speak about this type of stars is something absolutely amazing.
So the Tariq represents a type of star, not one specific star.
And actually the verses specify a particular star.
Yeah. Okay.
Allah says, وَالسَّمَاءِ وَالطَّارِقِ, by the firmament and the knocking star. وَمَا أَدْرَكَ مَا الطَّارِقِ. What do you think, Muhammad or any Muslim follower, what do you think the Tariq is? And then the answer comes, النجم الثاقب, the piercing star.
But that makes me wonder, Dr. Zaghloul, regarding the old explanation or the old tafsir to this surah, right? And was it where did the old Muslims, the first Muslims, ancient Muslims, if I may call them that, did they get it from the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ mouth, or did they predict it, or how did they?
Of course, you see, as I said earlier, one of the beauties of the Holy Quran is that the verse comes in a few words.
Right.
And every generation can see in these few words a meaning. And these meanings unfold with time. So that the Quran will remain always encompassing human knowledge, whatever level this human knowledge can reach.
But the word knocking.
Yes.
The word knocking, when we hear the word knocking, we think of disturbance.
Yes.
Does it disturb the atmosphere of the earth, or?
No, it does. Of course, if you record it as a sound, you change the radio waves into sound waves, and you can hear it exactly similar to somebody knocking at the door.
But we can't hear it here.
No, we cannot hear it here.
Okay.
You have to have radio telescopes to catch it and change it into sound waves. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So this short surah contains a great knowledge, a vast knowledge of science. And one of it is the verse which we have chosen as the title of this episode, وَالسَّمَاءِ ذَاتَ الرَّجْعِ, because we are still talking about as-sama, the firmament. وَالسَّمَاءِ ذَاتَ الرَّجْعِ means by the firmament that has the capacity to return. To return what? Early scholars said the most valuable things that returns to us from the sky is rain. So they said by the firmament that has got the capacity to send down rain. Because water vapor rises from the earth, it rises up to find a cool zone where it condenses and comes back.
So the rain came from
originally from the earth, yes.
And it will return to us.
It has to return back to us.
Okay, so I think we'll go for a short break and we continue after the break.
Okay.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, viewers. And Professor Zaghloul was telling us about the sky that returns. So water goes up from our land and the sky returns it back.
Yes, water is evaporated by the heat of the sun. It goes into clouds. And then this cloud moves into a zone of very low temperature. Can reach up to minus 60 degrees centigrade on top of the equator. And it is a miracle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to cause the air to cool down gradually as you go up. Although we are approaching the sun, we are going closer to the sun. Yet one of the miracles of creation is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused this zone of the atmosphere to cool up gradually, so that once water is evaporated from the earth, it finds a cool surface at which it condenses and comes down as rain.
So this zone is as if it's conditioned.
Yes, yes. So early commentators on this verse said that the most valuable thing that comes down to us from sky is rain. But if it is so, why didn't the Quran read by the sky that returns rain or returns water? Why the Quran said by the sky that has got the capacity to return? Actually, it is the capacity to return whatever is sent up to it or down on it. So this is a capacity Allah has given the atmosphere of the earth so that it can be a protective zone for life on the surface of that planet. And nowadays we find 10 forms of returning material or returning energy, either from the ground going up to the sky, coming back to ground, or from the outer atmosphere on top of the atmosphere of the earth, going back to the open space.
Like cosmic radiation?
Like cosmic radiation. But let's just speak about some of what the sky returns. The very first thing returned by the atmosphere of the earth, which is part of the sky, is sound waves. And unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given this atmosphere a particular chemical and physical composition, we could have never hear each other, you see, because unless this air has got a certain density, a certain physical-chemical characteristics, it could have never sent back sound waves. And if so, nobody could hear anything. And imagine if we lived on this planet without being able to hear each other. Life would have been virtually impossible. So the first thing is sound waves, echo. Because the first thing that returns to us is the echo of the sound. Secondly, we know that dust storms can raise from the soil of the earth lots of dust particles. And actually these can enrich certain areas, can be very useful to move from one area to the other. And we know that most dust particles that are raised from the earth come back to earth. Most of the material that comes from the vents of volcanoes during volcanic eruption come back to earth. Some of it escape to outer space, but most of it come back to earth. So anything that rises from earth to the upper atmosphere, to the lower atmosphere even, it comes back to us. Thirdly, we have rain, which is one of the most valuable things that comes back to us from sky. Without it, life would have been impossible on the surface of that planet. Clouds that send back rain send back heat, because the earth is heated during the day by the sun rays. Most of that heat is taken by the rocks of the earth. Once the sun sets, this heat is irradiated, and more than 90% of that heat is reflected back by the clouds. And they call this the heat return, al-Raj' al-Harari. This heat return was not known before.
Is this the greenhouse effect?
No. The greenhouse effect is the product of pollution.
Okay.
But this is a natural phenomenon, that every day the earth is heated by the sun. Once the sun sets, the heat that has been absorbed by the rocks of the earth are irradiated to the sky, and then the clouds that send rain also send heat.
So the sky is returning a lot of things. Not
Those are
one
not,
thing.
definitely.
Right.
Not only shadow.
Exactly.
You see. The clouds themselves send back 49% of the radiations of the sun. Otherwise would have been burned, actually. So this is a returning to outer space. This is what we see. And we can count nowadays at least 10 types of return. Above the clouds, we see